Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Conscious Conversations series with our global PSYCH-K family here. My name is Alexi J. McDonald from Above and Beyond Reality. I'm joined here by my good friend, Stephen Lin. Stephen, how are you today?
I'm great. Hi, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us. You are in Singapore. Wonderful. Again, we just like to express a bit of gratitude towards technology for allowing us to connect in different locations all around the world. So thank you very much, technology. I think it's just so cool that we can have visual conversations or anywhere where we are in the world. So thanks so much for joining us today, Stephen. Perhaps you could just start by sharing a little bit about yourself, what it is that you do, and yeah, how PSYCH-K came to you.
Wonderful. I have a long and varied history, but I'll cut it short. We'll keep it short and simple. I'm an engineer by training, right? But for the last 20 years, I've been a corporate consultant and a trainer, right? Along the way, we all grow older. And as I grew older, I was looking for something for myself to keep my physical up, my sanity, right? And one of the things that I very much wanted to do, and I finally did, was to learn Qigong. There's a kind of an energy healing, an energy exercise and healing. And in the midst of learning all those, the name of Bruce Lipton kept coming up because we deal a lot with intention and with conscious affecting subconscious and all that kind of stuff too, right? So because the Bruce Lipton's name, he came up so often with his book, Biology of Belief. So I bought that book one day, I read it, lo and behold, towards the end of the book, he talked about his experience with PSYCH-K and how good PSYCH-K was. So because I loved what I read in Bruce Lipton's Biology of Belief, so I decided to look for PSYCH-K, go learn it. Finally found a course down in Melbourne, and I signed up, and within the space of, I would say, less than 2 months after I discovered the word PSYCH-K, I was down in Melbourne learning it. And from there, I have done all the other courses available in PSYCH-K, including the offshoot or the business version called PER-K, or PER. Right, and so right here I am now.
Wonderful.
Equipped with PSYCH-K, and I found that it does help with the other parts about the work that I do. It does help with my hobby and my passion and my some part of it work also with Qigong, with energy healing, and certainly there is it jives, it aligns with my ongoing study of consciousness and spirituality.
Being a scientist of life, eh?
Yeah.
I like how you refer to Bruce Lipton and how he's a massive advocate for us, and it's great because he actually. I know you're probably aware of this, but our viewers may not be aware that he had been doing he was trying to write his book and write his thesis, and it wasn't until he met Rob Williams and actually started using PSYCH-K. I think he'd been trying to write his book for, I don't know exactly, because I know it was years. And he finished it in 6 months after doing a few balances and a few processes with PSYCH-K and Rob Williams. So absolute gratitude to PSYCH-K, Rob Williams, and Bruce Lipton for that amazing story and the amazing work that they're doing. So that's cool. Who was your instructor when you learned? Was it Ian?
The very first class that I did, the basic class, was with Rosie.
Ah, cool.
Was with Rosie.
Love
and then I did the master class with Karen, and the advanced class with Ian. Yeah, and I've had a good many instructors, which is a blessing because you learn something different from every instructor. It's a different course, of course. Yeah, but all different styles and with very common focus on the love of PSYCH-K and the ability to use PSYCH-K with people.
Yeah. Beautiful. So tell us, Stephen, I like to ask and I like to hear what other people, how it is that they explain what PSYCH-K is and what it means for them. So can you just give us a quick little definition of yourself of what PSYCH-K is and how it helps you in your life?
Okay. PSYCH-K is essentially, very quickly, as Rob says, it is a spiritual process with psychological benefits, right? How I define it personally is it is the ability to link up to oneness, right? Because when we are dealing with our subconscious, the subconscious is inextricably linked to the superconscious, which is on its own linked to the one conscious field, right? So in doing PSYCH-K, we are actually tapping into the one conscious field, right? It's not even so much about balancing our subconscious, but more aligning our subconscious with the overall consciousness. That's what it is to me. Of course, when I speak to clients, or shall we say partners, it depends on where they are coming from and who they are. I do not usually speak so much about spirituality and this kind of thing because not many people are exposed to it. And some people who are not exposed to it, if the first time they hear about it, they may not look at it with too much of an open mind. Right? I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Certainly. And it's important that because we need to be able to meet everybody in the reality that they're in. We can't expect them to join with us because everybody's at different, I don't want to call it levels, but everyone's in a different part of their journey. And we need to be able to be adaptable and meet them where they are. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yes. So the most neutral explanation for PSYCH-K I have with people whom I don't really know well is to talk about it just purely on the subconscious level, or rather that it is something to very quickly reprogram the subconscious, which it is, right? Because when we talk about subconscious, we can always bring in the refer to neuroscience and stuff like that, right? Which is makes it more widely acceptable to people.
Especially in our Western culture, we need that scientific evidence to know that what we're talking about is actually quantifiable and they can see it. Because a belief in our society and our culture is I'll believe it when I see it. So it's great that we have the science backing up what the actual process is doing for us.
Yes, it's not just in the Western world. I think when you are dealing with the business world with people who are kind of entrenched in the business community, that's the language they talk, and it doesn't matter if they are from the east and not the west, right? It doesn't. They too are more inclined to believe what they see, because that's what happens in the business world. Right? When I say business world, I mean it's not just the business people, it is the corporate executives, it's even the government people who are really in a corporate setting, so to say.
Yeah, it's great. Cool. Okay, so how do you use it? Do you work with partners? You do this professionally at the same time? I know you're still doing your business consulting, and is it something you're just doing on the side? And what kind of people do you actually work with? How do you use this professionally?
Okay, I use it. Well, let's define the word professionally. Professionally just simply means you are helping someone.
Yeah.
Right. That's the way I look at it. Now, I do get some. When I first started it, I started doing it with friends and people that I know, and I did it for free. But I still consider that professionally because I did it in a professional setting, and I did it with what we call isomata, as you will know, with the real intention of wanting to create a space where they can really help themselves, right? I've also, besides that, started doing for commercial returns with people who pay for them, and that may be what some people would call professional.
Yeah.
So in general, the people that I've seen here, they fall into they fall into very general category, right? Of I think a few kinds of people. One, they are feeling stuck somehow in whatever they are doing. They know what they need to do, but they're not getting it done. Or they know what they need to do. They're trying to get it done, but they are not actually being successful in that, right? So when I work with them, we want to solve the underlying issues. We do balances around helping them to overcome whatever the issues are. For instance, when I have clients who are doing business for themselves, right? They know they need to be doing this, but they cannot bring themselves to do it. And when I ask them, why do you not do it when you know that you're supposed to do it? And things come up, right? Things come up. For instance, well, I'm not doing it because I'm afraid that my customers will not like it. Stuff like that, right? So that's how we work with them. I work with them. That's one group of people who are feeling stuck. The other group of people that I seem to get quite a number of these days are simply outright depressed, right? They weren't my target market to begin with, but we seem to get quite a number of them around here depressed. And the third group tend to be those that suffer from some kind of esteem issues and belonging issues, that they are not good enough somehow for whatever they have chosen to be. They might find passion in something they do, but they feel that they are not good enough for that, or right, that they don't belong. They feel that they are outsiders in that particular profession. Feel that they are outsiders trying to move into a space where they are not belonging. So those are the three groups of people that typically happen to come my way. Not that I seek them out, but they happen to come my way.
I know I fall into all three of those categories. And so it's so great to be able to have something to constantly update and keep changing, because I know certainly for me, and I love that you mentioned about business owners, you know, like we are our business. So if we are not constantly evolving and improving ourselves, our business is only going to grow as much as we can grow ourselves. So it's super important to have a process that it keeps us being able to expand and keep updated with things that change as we change.
Yeah. Well, good that you're talking about ourselves. To all PSYCH-K facilitators out there who are wanting to grow their business in PSYCH-K, my one recommendation is you should attend the PERC for yourself at some point in time, because it really is helpful for yourself. PERC, I think, is ideal for small business owners, and a PSYCH-K facilitator doing it on a professional basis. You are a small business owner, in a sense.
Wow, that's really cool. I'm really looking forward to doing PERC. For those, PERC is the corporate business structure of PSYCH-K. Different language, same processes, similar material, but yeah, different language directed. And I love that you explained earlier when we were having a conversation, it's more about the application within business. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, go ahead.
You go, continue.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I attended the PERC basic. The balances are just the same as what we learned in PSYCH-K basic. It's the application, very much like what you said, it's the application to the business context.
Awesome. Yeah. If I can just take a quick moment and give it a quick plug. We are actually bringing the amazing Robin Graham out from Memphis, Tennessee. I think she's from Memphis. But anyway, she's coming out to Australia in July. Can't remember the exact dates. I can post them up. But anyone who's interested, anyone who's watching this and is interested in learning PSYCH-K or doing the PSYCH-K workshop, then we're going to be having one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast in July next year. That's of Australia. So anyone who is watching and could be interested in that, then please reach out to myself, Rosie Pletzer, or Rod McDonald, and we can discuss that further. So how was your experience of your first workshop? What did you go in? What were your expectations, and how were the expectations met, and how did you feel after a workshop? I love hearing about this. I know for me, I was sort of thinking, oh, this sounds too good to be true. My mind was blown on that first day.
Okay, wonderful. To be honest, I went into the first workshop without knowing what to expect, right? I had a background in some other things. I've done NLP, right? And plus all those energy stuff where we deal with intentions and all that.
At what level of NLP did you reach?
I'm sorry?
What level of NLP did you get to? Were you an NLP?
Master facilitator.
Okay, cool. So you're at the top.
Yeah. It was back in the time when I learned it. It was back in the time when the courses still ran for like 14 days just for the basic. So
wow.
It was a pretty intense kind of course. But anyway, we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about PSYCH-K. Yes. I kind of have an idea about what rewriting subconscious meant. And of course, I was looking forward, okay, let's see what we can do in 3 days instead. And as it transpired, I was very impressed with how we can shortcut lots of what we learned in the other stuff, right? In PSYCH-K. And because I came at it from the energy perspective, I could very quickly appreciate how the balances were done and the relation between consciousness, subconscious, and the superconscious. So I was very pleased with it that it was along these lines and not just a super compressed version of NLP or anything like that, but that we actually used the balances and used the conscious, subconscious, superconscious, stuff like that. And when we went on to do the advanced, right, I was even more pleased when energy focusing came in because all these gelled with my energy work. Right, back to the basic. I think I was very fortunate to have been in the workshop where we had lots and lots of practice, the smaller group of people, and that really helped because learning about the concept is one thing, actually doing it is another. And the fluency with which we are able to work with the balances with our partners, I think determines the experiences that they get and the benefits that the partner gets out of it, right? So the more we practice at that stage, I think the better it was. And I was very pleased with that. And also the fact that the master facilitator class came not too long after, and I was able to hone the practice of facilitating balances, right? Because as I said, in order to best benefit a partner, I have to be really smooth in doing it, right? That's my duty. That's our duty as a facilitator, right? To hold the isomata and to give the best experience possible to the partner so that they can get the most benefit out of it and by drawing wisdom from the universe and from their own superconscious. That's how I look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. And that's one of the points of difference between how PSYCH-K works out in our life to other modalities that do similar work, and they do work as well, and they've done wonderful things for people's lives. Perhaps you could explain to us, I'm interested, I've never spoken to anybody who has done training in another modality. Perhaps you could explain to us a few different, the differences between PSYCH-K and other modalities, if you're comfortable explaining that for us.
Okay. Other modalities are like taking a hammer and trying to knock down the wall. So you take the hammer, you start knocking, and you're knocking, and you keep knocking, and one day you break the wall. PSYCH-K is like just simply bypassing that wall, opening the door, and walking in.
Wow.
That's how I would explain it. So, yeah.
Simple and effective.
So the trick is to find where that damn door is, you know.
Yeah.
And from what I have experienced from PSYCH-K, you can find the door, you can open it, and you can walk right in. You don't have to use that hammer and keep knocking.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. And if you can't find the door, create one.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. You know, now that you say it's just like one of those cartoons, you know those cartoons, right? You can't find the door, you just draw one and then just open it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Nice. Okay, so another question for you, Stephen. What kind of people? I've asked what kind of people you work with. What plans do you have moving forward? What do you see happening in your life with PSYCH-K? What are your goals and especially next year? I think next year, a whole new decade. It's going to be a year of a lot of growth for all of us. So, what do you see happening for yourself?
Okay, what I imagine in my mind, that's what some people will call a vision. I just call it imagining, and there's a reason for that. What I imagine in my mind is using applying PSYCH-K more with business people, and by business people I mean people like you and me in business for ourselves, and helping them grow. That's the intention. Having said that, I will also wait and see what the universe opens up for me. And so going back to what I said, right? I said imagine rather than vision. Visions is something that you create and say that must be it. And I'm at the stage now I say, okay, it would be good if that is it, but let's see what the world opens up for us, what the universe opens up for us. So which is a little different from what you call a vision. As what people would define it nowadays, you know.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. Do you have? You said you worked with quite a few clients or partners, as we like to call them in PSYCH-K.
Yeah.
And before we share any stories, I just like every episode, I just need to make the disclaimer that all we're doing is working with subconscious beliefs and perceptions. That's all PSYCH-K does, is changes subconscious beliefs and perceptions. The results of those are quite often quite miraculous in what individuals are able to do for themselves. But perhaps you could share a couple of examples, maybe personal or professional, on some transformations that you've seen in people and some things that you've been able to co-create with your partners.
Okay. I'll give you one example, and the example demonstrates not only the use of PSYCH-K, but what we may call manifesting. Right. So I was working with a client, and they were okay. First of all, I'm not going to talk too many specifics, right? Because yeah. So this client was attempting to do a business in a new way that other people haven't done before. And in order to do it in this way, you require people to be open-minded, right? And to require people to be open-minded, you want to attract certain group of people. So what we did was we went into two kinds of balances. Firstly, was to remove the doubts that they had themselves, right? And to install the beliefs that that the system worked, whatever they had that they were trying to do. And the second one was to simply to attract that they balance around they attracting like-minded people who believe that. Okay, so balance done, and of course with a action step to do. Now to them, the action step was simply to create contact and touch points with those possible customers. So after they done that, a week later, they came back to me and said, hey, look, it's strange, but a whole bunch of people that we never thought possible have now contacted us and said they wanted to work with us in this aspect, right? So that was wonderful. And that was quite early in the days that I was doing PSYCH-K, and I found that pretty amazing, because that also helped me to kind of fine-tune my own belief in PSYCH-K. I had belief, and of course still believe, that PSYCH-K is about attuning your own subconscious beliefs, which it is. But the benefit of attuning your subconscious beliefs is that you create a situation where things manifest. Right? So, yeah. So the more you believe in it, the more you see it as a reality, the more it manifests, the more the universe conspires with you to make things happen, even when we don't control other people. Obviously, we do not, right? But because we change our beliefs, something in this world has changed because of that, and that impacts what other people believe in you too.
Wonderful. And what did that mean?
I don't know if I said that in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand for sure. I love how you use the language. The universe conspires to help you. Is you referring to the alchemist there? Is that sort of?
The alchemist is one thing. The number of the people like Greg Braden and people like Wayne Dyer, they've been talking about similar things. Yeah.
Awesome. So basically, you had a person who came to you. She wanted to manifest more business in her business, more flow in her business, and you removed the doubt, installed new self-affirming beliefs, and then she started to just attract people into her business who literally believe.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So the idea was just imagine the idea is just to change your own beliefs, but by changing your beliefs, people change the way they look at you too.
Awesome. And also inversely, as we change the way what we are looking at begins to change as well.
Yeah. Something we can. This is a whole interesting field that is linked to PSYCH-K, which I really love to talk about, but I do not think that this is the conversation now.
Another time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Stephen. Perhaps just before we sign off, you could give anyone who's viewing just one tip, one piece of advice or a takeaway to help benefit them in their life.
Around PSYCH-K?
Anything. Doesn't have to be PSYCH-K, just some sort of a tip.
Yes. There is one thing that I learned just and that I apply and that I like to tell people, I like to tell all PSYCH-K people as well, is to simply, whatever you try to do, whatever you are doing, adopt an attitude of non-attachment to it. Right? This may sound a bit different from what people talk about goal setting and goal getting, where you need to focus all on your goal, and that should be the consuming thought that you have to make it happen. Right? I have learned that it is actually the other way around. You set an intention to get something done, to achieve something, and then you let go of it. The paradox in the world is that the more you let go of it, the more it will be yours. Right? If you are so consumed and attached to it, it will elude you. It will keep on eluding you. So that's what I have found. Oh, it makes sense. Yeah.
And it is a paradox, that one. It's hard. Sometimes I still get tripped up on that, getting my head around that. And I need to refocus and do some balancing as it all comes up, as my subconscious is presenting opportunities for me to grow, to realign with that, just to keep letting it go. Because I know for myself, I certainly start to control things, and I start to get a bit frustrated with why things aren't happening the way I expect them to. And it's important in those moments to recognize in my being that I am controlling it and I am actually blocking it in that moment. So I'm so eternally grateful to have a process just to remove that resistance in the space of minutes and tune back into the flow and allowing things to go at the same time as letting them go and be as they're meant to be.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Stephen. It's been a pleasure. You're an amazing man. I know I met you at the Master Facilitators workshop last year, and then again this year we had the Divine Integration together. So I look forward to meeting with you again at the next workshop or wherever it is that we connect in the globe, in the world. And yeah, express gratitude to you today, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Nice talking to you, Alex. We'll catch up again. I hope we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, give my best to your father.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll do. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today again, guys. This is Alexi J. McDonald from Above and Beyond Reality signing out from our Conscious Conversations, and see you on the next episode. Thanks very much for joining.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Thank you.
Stephen.